The story of Atlantis stands out in the vast ocean of history and makes us want to learn more. Leaders from different cultures met in this lost world, believed to have existed around 11,000 years ago. They used flying machines made from stretched elephant hides and wireless communication, which suggests they had technology that is very different from what we understand now. There are only rumors that Atlantis existed, so why did it go away? Could this old island in the middle of the Atlantic hold secrets from the past that would change the way we think about history? These intriguing questions compel us to go deeper into a lost society. Dolores Cannon gives us a new way to look at Atlantis through her studies of the supernatural. She goes into great detail in her book, The Convoluted Universe, Book 4, about the mysterious knowledge that the Atlanteans had. She shows how well they understood the world and how they could use natural energies. Her work makes it seem like Atlantis was more than just a place with amazing technology. It was also a place where spiritual knowledge was born. This is a reflection of the great things people can do and the bad things that can happen when they don't use their power properly. The Atlantis, with its rich history of advanced technologies and smart government, is a model for future generations and makes us think about the delicate balance between power and responsibility. So, friends, it asks us to think again about the edges of history that are just out of reach for normal research. That's the kind of information Dolores brings to the table today. Using all our knowledge of Dolores Cannon and focusing on the mysterious story of Atlantis, we look into the historical puzzle that Frederick Oliver put together in the 1880s. Oliver, who was 17, became the link between the old Atlantean sage Philos and people in Eureka, California, which was on the edge of civilization and close to Mount Shasta. Oliver wrote without thinking, and a story from 11,160 BC came to life, painting a lively picture of life in Atlantis. He wrote about this in his book, A Dweller on Two Planets. Dolores Cannon's writing often looks into the idea of past lives and advanced civilizations, which is similar to Oliver's detailed descriptions of Atlantean technology. Holographic devices, multi-environment cars, and complex surveillance systems are just a few examples that people could not have imagined in the late 1800s. Oliver's story, which includes internal physics and a complex historical timeline, has a lot in common with Plato's stories about Atlantis. Even though he didn't go to school or have access to classical books, his detailed account of Atlantis predates and supports the work of later channelers like Edgar Cayce, who repeated similar themes and details decades later. The similarity between Oliver's writings and Cayce's readings, especially when it comes to Atlantean technology and how it failed, highlights a theme in Cannon's work that deals with the collective unconscious and suggests a shared historical and spiritual heritage. Oliver completed the book around 1889, but his premature death in 1899 delayed its release. In 1920, following his death, the book gained increased recognition, indicating the existence of an untold story. When looked at this way, the Atlantean story is more than just an interesting piece of history. It shows how human awareness has changed over time and how we will always be trying to figure out where we came from. Through the channeling process, Oliver's Atlantis is a link between ancient knowledge and modern research. This is similar to Cannon's lifelong goal of discovering the secrets of life, time, and our place in the universe. Oliver's stories are about more than just technology. Marvel is at the peak of its power, knowing a lot about science and religion, but in the end, it falls victim to its own bad uses of technology and moral decline. Cannon discussed the misuse of energy sources and the resulting terrible consequences during his trance-induced meetings. Both sources discussed the Atlanteans' use of advanced technology to combat the animal menace, implying the existence of a global network of transportation and communication prior to the public release of the records. Cayce discussed the use of stretched animal hides to power flying machines, powered by a combination of gas and crystal. When you put these stories together with Plato's old dialogues about Atlantis, you get a lot of different views on this mythical society. It asserts that the transmission of history and knowledge over thousands of years defies the conventional timeline of human development. Even though Oliver, Casey, and Cannon lived in different times and cultures, the information they shared tells a clear story of a society that is both advanced and cautious. Their ideas make us question the lines between history, mythology, and the metaphysical. Edgar Casey wrote in 1932 about a technological project the ancient Atlanteans worked on to get rid of the animal menace that was affecting their land around 50,000 BC. The plan involved directing energy beams towards volcano openings to deter large, dangerous animals. Due to this extreme action and concurrent magnetic pole changes, Atlantis experienced its first breakup. The continent broke up into 5 islands. Through Casey's trance-induced stories, we learn that another disaster in 28,000 BC reduced Atlantis to 3 islands, which fits with Plato's descriptions of the end of this ancient society. These stories jumble together the timelines and changes in geography of Atlantis, from a huge continent to a bunch of separate islands. They show scientific progress and natural disasters. The similarities between Casey's and Cannon's stories and old Vedic texts are very interesting. The Mahabharata's Bhagavad Gita talks about flying machines and powerful weapons, which sound a lot like Atlantis's advanced technology. The resemblance between ancient texts and visions implies that these ancient societies might have either shared or linked. Oliver's story, which he wrote in the late 1800s, amazingly matches up with both Casey's and Dolores' later revelations and ancient Vedic descriptions. Together, they depict a period where the fusion of technology and mysticism shaped Atlantis's legacy and left a lasting impact on human memory. Many wisdom traditions, especially the Vedic texts, introduce the idea of the Akashic records, a database that records every action, word, thought, and intention that has ever occurred. These ancient texts, penned even before Plato, describe a primordial knowledge base accessible to seers and sages. Edgar Casey, who didn't have much education and had never read any Sanskrit or Vedic philosophy, said that this is where his deep insights came from. This idea of an etheric record, which comes from the Sanskrit word akasha, which means ether, suggests a way for everyone to access information, like an ethereal internet that existed before our modern technological comparisons. The story jumps between historical and mythological settings and suggests that famous people like Da Vinci and Nostradamus may have used this psychic network to get their prophetic ideas. Old books like the Vedic scriptures, which describe flying machines called vimanas and powerful energy weapons thousands of years older than modern airplanes and guns, support this idea. Dolores Cannon's work adds an interesting new dimension to the search for the truth about Atlantis. Ancient texts and modern channeling methods perfectly weave it into their historical and spiritual narratives. Through her regression hypnosis sessions, Cannon dug deeper into time and found stories that fit with the stories of Atlantis's rise to power and fall. Under hypnosis, her subjects described a society where science and spirituality intertwined, akin to the descriptions of vimanas and advanced weapons found in ancient texts. In her book, The Convoluted Universe, Cannon explores the advanced knowledge of the Atlanteans and talks about how they used crystals for a wide range of purposes, from healing and creating energy to destructive power. Her writing also discusses the Atlanteans' spiritual and moral issues, which led to their society's disintegration and eventual destruction. The Vedas and Plato's stories, which aim to teach us about power and responsibility, discuss similar problems. Around 100,000 BC, this society was at its peak. It wasn't very simple, but it did show early signs of advanced settlement and social organization. People believe that visionaries like Tesla and Da Vinci have accessed a deeper, more universal source of knowledge. They share a similar perspective, asserting that time and culture do not limit such profound insights. This story makes us think about where we are now and whether we can balance technical progress with wisdom and foresight, so that we don't make the same mistakes that legends say the great Atlantis made. The conversation shifts to a complex blend of individuals from diverse regions such as Lemuria, Africa, and ancient Nordic lands, who converged in regions like the Yucatan well before recorded history. This mix of cultures suggests a world where people don't have to deal with geographical barriers. We discuss the mysterious buildings found in Mesoamerica and draw comparisons with the technology and knowledge of the Atlanteans. In this part, the attention shifts to how long old building methods last, especially when compared to modern materials. The talk focuses on the fact that Roman concrete lasts longer than modern cement, which suggests that the Romans had better knowledge or technology that they lost over time. This leads to a more general thought about how ancient societies, like Atlantis, may have had advanced technologies that people today have forgotten about or don't understand. As the story goes on, it talks about the advanced farming methods used in ancient Mesoamerica. For example, it talks about how the Maya made black dirt that was very fertile. Ancient people had a much better knowledge of and ability to use natural resources than people do today. This example shows how far they have come. The discussion also touches on the tragic destruction of historical records by the conquistadors, such as the Mayan texts. This shows how little we know about ancient societies. The Roman Empire was famous for its impressive buildings. They used a type of concrete that is still amazing to engineers today because it lasts so long. Roman concrete, which has endured for thousands of years, demonstrates the Romans' profound understanding of building materials, a knowledge that time has lost. The Great Pyramid of Giza is a reminder of how smart people were in the past. Its exact alignment and massive size, made possible by tons of stones, suggest a level of technology and knowledge that isn't usually associated with ancient societies. The mystery of the pyramid's internal structure and its exact alignment with celestial bodies add to the idea that people in the past had access to technologies or knowledge that are beyond what we can understand now. Mainstream academia doesn't like the idea of technologically advanced societies because they see history in a straight line and think that progress is slow and builds over time. However, ancient buildings like the pyramids, which show amazing engineering and astronomical accuracy, call this view into question. The larger story of humanity's lost past connects to the discussion of Atlantis and its potential role as a once advanced society. The idea that Atlantis might have been a center of advanced technology and culture fits with Dolores Cannon's work and other stories. These stories suggest that people in the past may have achieved technological advancements comparable to or superior to those of today, but disasters erased their achievements from history. We still don't fully understand the methods used to build these ancient marvels and the knowledge they employed. From the long-lasting strength of Roman concrete to the architectural wonders of the pyramids, there is proof that the ancients were much smarter than we are when it comes to technology. To figure out where Atlantis came from and what happened to it, people are looking at both old stories and new research. This research questions the idea that human history happened in a straight line. It suggests that advanced civilizations may have lived and then disappeared, leaving behind enticing clues and huge buildings like the Great Pyramid of Giza. The accuracy and size of these old buildings challenge normal explanations, suggesting that people may have lost knowledge and skills. Some people, like Edgar Cayce, have said that there might be a hall of records. This concept piques our curiosity, as it implies a repository for ancient knowledge and technological blueprints, potentially revolutionizing our understanding of history. Protected by a high-tech energy barrier, the idea of a cache like this aligns with the notion that ancient societies possessed knowledge and technologies far beyond our current comprehension. Stories about Atlantis' advanced society and eventual downfall add intrigue to the story, mirroring contemporary concerns about technological advancement and its potential risks. Atlantis is still an interesting part of human history because it blurs the lines between myth and truth. It makes us think about the many things that could have happened in the past and the lessons that we can learn from them for the future. As Cannon wrote, the fall of Atlantis is a warning about the dangers of technological arrogance and how important it is to keep a balance between spiritual and AI tech development. Through his research into the Akashic records and memories of past lives, Canon gives us tantalizing glimpses of the beauty and sadness of Atlantis. The story of Atlantis goes beyond its mythological roots. When seen through Canon's work, it becomes a relevant comment on the technological and spiritual crossroads we are currently facing. These events make us think about how Atlantis lives on in our memories, and how its rise and fall are like the ups and downs of human society.